All right, so we've got this general structure. Basically, it's going to have a wing, and then that's kind of already there from the last time. Question is, what are we going to make in the new stuff? So, yeah, the first part is something that connects from the wing to the spars, and yeah, that's 3D printed. Then we've got the spars. And then the second part is a second 3D printed structure which connects the spars to the hinge so that the canard can move up and down. And then we've got our hinge, which is just going to be another carbon rod. And then we have the third part, which will connect. And then, sorry, on the second part, we also have a servo. And then the third part will connect the hinge to the canard. So one thing is because the wind's coming in from the front, we got to make the back part of the canard longer than the front part of the canard. And that's for stability. Because if the front part's longer, then when the wind hits it, it's either going to want it to point down or want it to point up. But if we make the backside long enough, then that's what's going to be what catches the wind, and we're going to have a stable system where it just wants to point straight. So this is the Fusion 360 of the three parts. This is the first part, and as you can see, it's got the holes for the tubes, and then I also added a slat in the middle to make sure that it glues onto the parts correctly. Then we've got our second part, and yeah, you can see the two holes, the place for the servo, the place for the hinge. And finally, we have the other side, which is a hinge, and then it's got a place to attach to the canard.
So this is what it looks like roughly put together. There's the delta section, the rods, the other side, the servo, and the hinge. Alright, so the swing needs to be somewhat boomerang shaped. So I'm just laying the hinge mechanism here, like that. And then okay, so it turned out a little smaller than I was thinking. That should be fine because this isn't really a lifting surface, it's more of a control surface. Alright, so next thing, because the front is so small, I'm going to mostly go with center of lift from the delta wing, and that seems to be about here, and it's already kind of balanced there, so I'm going to put the battery about here. But we got all this space right here, and this area is kind of pretty good structurally, so I think I'm just going to cut it out right here and just sink it in. Alright, so the battery's in there, everything's set up, I got the remote, and so if I crank this up, so that's that, and then I've got elevons, well, they're really more like ailerons, and then finally up front, I'm gonna have to figure that out a bit more though. I don't know if I like the range where it's at, but at least it's working. So the damage wasn't too terrible, like I expected. Basically the whole front of this broke, so I can always just reprint this part. This hinge looks fine. I don't know if I want to switch out the front elevons, front canards, but it looks fine. And the wing's broken, but that's just a little duct tape and hot glue. The real thing is I've been watching the crash in slow motion, and there's I think 3 things that can be improved on. One, I still think it might be useful to drop in like an autopilot, just to when it starts to roll for no reason, it can instantly unroll. Cause yeah, like I had roll control, but I felt like I was kind of just trying to fight it, trying to level it the whole time, up until the end, and then just start spiraling. Two, it feels heavy, and that could just be because I can't get it to fly straight and like hold itself. It's always like tilting and crashing. So maybe if I can get it to fly straight, it doesn't matter how heavy it is. And 3, it might have been front heavy. A delta wing is kind of hard to figure out where the center of lift is. Plus, I don't know what this is doing. So I could have been front heavy, and it did kind of feel like it's kind of arcing, and or the trajectory was just one long arc. So that might be an issue. But yeah, till next time.